I got it! When I first heard about Dave being trapped in a maze...
1, 2, 3, 4!
I built a labyrinth. Can you believe it?
Dave is trapped in a cardboard maze in his living room and he can't get out.
Welcome to Dave Made a Minute, the podcast where a whole bunch of us are exploring the film Dave Made a Maze 1 minute at a time. The twist. Many of the participants have never seen the film. Some don't even know what film they're sampling. They get their minutes and they tackle them as they see fit. Here's your host from the Groundhog Day Project and Michael Myers Minute, Robert Black.
Minute 68, Gordon leads the Minotaur away and the film crew joins Dave and Annie in the chrysalis chamber. To tackle Minute 68, we have Eric Nash of Watchmen Minute and Connor Coulson of Prometheus Minute.
You come home, there's a giant maze in your living room. You're like, what the? There's a giant maze in my living room. I've heard of people rearranging the furniture, but this is wackadoodle crazy. Give me a sense of that.
This doesn't make any sense.
No problem. They promised to my segment, but solutions, no problem.
It's like a fucking cocktail party in here.
I get a few words from you before you go.
Okay, and we're back. This is Eric Nash and Connor Coulson. Say hi.
Hello.
For a minute 68 of Dave Made a Minute. Dave Made a Minute.
It's so much fun we had to come back again.
Yeah, covering Dave Made a Maze that Connor has now, I believe, seen, right?
Yes, I now understand just what it is that I saw in the last episode that we were on. Right. And I'm surprised I got pretty close. I wasn't too far off in what I imagined was happening.
Cool. And I still haven't seen it yet, though.
Oh.
So it'll still be pretty interesting, I think, when I do get around to seeing it soon here, since this will be, I'm pretty sure, the last minute I'll do.
Yeah, this is this minute has so many elements that really only make sense in context, so this will be interesting.
And I believe we'd still be looking for, just to keep a reminder out there, for a bread roll, and I have to say I don't think I saw one.
No one ever did.
I tried, couldn't see it.
Yeah. And you might understand what that means.
Yes, now I know the context. I've been listening to the show. So apparently one of the crew members, because catering just got a little bit too excited with the bread rolls, offered way too many. So one of the crew members started hiding them everywhere in characters' backpacks, in the ceiling. But as far as I'm aware, no one's actually found one on screen.
Well, so at the beginning here a little bit, it's Gordon running around.
Yeah, we should say this minute opens with Gordon trying to lure the Minotaur through the maze away from the rest of the gang who are trying to activate the chrysalis, and ends with I think it's Dave doing a creepy face.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And more general, the way it ends to me, I mean, it's what I think maybe it's the climax, kind of. Or getting close to the climax. An important
definitely has a third act feel
of this chrysalis, I think, is what they're in front of opening because they plug it in.
There are so many great visuals in this minute. I mean, I'd have to compare all.
Is one of them say the playing cards?
I mean, yeah, you've got the playing cards, you've got the Minotaur, you've got the chrysalis.
It's not a lot like the last minute we did. It was very much all the cardboard beige brown color. So this to me for being in the maze, there is some of that still that we see for how the maze is constructed. But
yeah, I think I've had to show someone 1 minute just to sell them on this is how crazy and creative this movie gets. I think this would be the one, or maybe the vagina hallway.
Ooh, interesting.
Which you will learn about. The Minotaur itself. So that got me going down a bit of a rabbit hole going. So the Minotaur in mythology, it's actually in a labyrinth. And then I went, wait, so what's a labyrinth? What's a maze? So I've done my research here. So the difference between a maze and a labyrinth, the latter is unicursal, meaning there is only one path to follow, where a maze has many branches, multicursal, if you will. So is Dave's maze actually a maze? Because if you know a bit of behind the scenes trivia, they didn't use the same sets more than once because there wasn't enough space. They had to tear it down and then build the next part of the maze. So if it's a continuous path, is that a labyrinth?
I'm not sure.
I guess we will never know because we don't, unless we got like a bird's eye view and saw if there was different branches and stuff that didn't go down. It's all open to interpretation.
In minutes 27 and 28 in what I call the serial killer room, there is a map of the maze on the wall. There's also a diagram of a map that I've posted on Instagram, Dave Made a Minute, that shows a behind the scenes map that they diagrammed. That does indeed show that it is multicursal, so it is technically a maze. Also, Gordon's definition, that just because it has booby traps, it is a labyrinth, otherwise it would be a series of articulated hallways. Probably the only place that definition has ever happened is in this film. So, it is a maze. And a labyrinth.
But, and, sorry, go to the top. I don't know why I'm just getting so distracted by all these different notes. I got too many ideas. My brain is multicursal. But yeah, the origins of mazes, that's also quite fascinating because why would anyone build that? Where did that start? There doesn't seem to be a very direct answer, but from what they've been able to surmise, archaeologists found the oldest example, or the earliest mention, is in 5 BCE. Herodotus described one in Egypt, a labyrinth. And a lot of the earliest mazes were labyrinths, and it was just sort of a spiritual or meditative experience. It wasn't a matter of just getting lost. It was, no, you're actually making your way to a center for a purpose.
I'm familiar with those.
Yeah,
I've little pretty mini ones. I've walked some,
and I think I much prefer labyrinths because recently I went to, there's these Christmas displays in the city, and one of them was this transparent light up maze. So it's like, perspex or plexiglass or something like that. And I was really hesitant to enter because I felt there's this powerlessness. You feel trapped. I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't think the human brain is made to deal with that sort of environment very well. The idea of you can move freely, there's seemingly infinite space, but you're trapped and you're lost. That's fascinating to me. So I have to wonder if mazes were sort of meant as a kind of psychological puzzle. As far as I can tell, it was more of a game or just a decorative feature in a lot of medieval gardens. I wasn't surprised to find that mazes, the hedge maze, originated in medieval Europe. Those two images those two concepts seem quite synonymous in my mind. And yeah, that's what they found fun back in the day, apparently. Do you have any observations? I feel like I talk too much, so.
No, you're fine. At one point you were talking a bit about this Minotaur monster, and I just called her monster the whole time in my notes, and the biggest thing I had to say about that was just it might seem like a bit of a negative, but I think it's fine, but it's a bit of the old trope of what Gordon is doing is leading it away from, I think, the rest of the group here, or, two parts of the group or something, leading it away from what's going on there that we're seeing in the rest of this minute.
Yeah.
So, whether that's good or bad is all up to, I think, some interpretation by any one viewer.
I have to, that's the only real living creature, sort of, in this maze. We talked about her in the previous minute. The one who, I think it's Annie, gets possessed and turns into the marionette. And so she was someone who came from the outside and then became something else. So
actually, I think that was Bryn.
No, yeah, it was Bryn.
Right.
And yeah, so okay, she was a living person from the outside of the maze, and she became something else. Does that mean the Minotaur?
And that's not what's happening. Oh, okay, maybe that is what's happening with the Minotaur.
Yeah, maybe he was someone else who stumbled in. Maybe he was like, I don't know, a delivery guy or the landlord or something, and he's like, what's going on in here? And then he crawls into the maze and he becomes a Minotaur. That's my headcanon.
Cool. Okay.
This one is especially amusing because Connor has seen the film now, and he's still inventing things for what's going on.
I wanted to look into if there were any other references in this movie to the actual, is it Theseus or Perseus? No, it's Theseus. Theseus and the Minotaur story, which is a wild story. I mean, oh man, those Greeks, they were really into zoophilia and just, oh man, I could go on about how great Greek myths are. But, yeah, Minos. Yes, Minotaur, Minos. So Minos, actually, I'm gonna read the history of his backstory, because it was, I'll just read straight from the wiki page. It gets straight to the point. After he ascended to the throne of the island of Crete, Minos competed with his brothers to rule. Minos prayed to Poseidon, the sea god, to send him a snow-white bull as a sign of support. He was to kill the bull to show honor to the deity, but decided to keep it instead because of its beauty. He thought Poseidon would not care if he kept the white bull and sacrificed one of his own. To punish Minos, Poseidon made Pasiphae, Minos' wife, fall deeply in love with the bull. Pasiphae had craftsman Daedalus, as in Icarus and Daedalus, make a hollow wooden cow and climbed inside in order to mate with the white bull. I don't want to know how that worked. The offspring was the monstrous Minotaur. Pasiphae nursed him, but he grew and became ferocious, becoming the unnatural offspring of a woman and a beast who had no natural source of nourishment and thus devoured humans for sustenance. Well, that's natural. I think humans are natural. Minos, after getting advice from the oracle at Delphi, had Daedalus construct a gigantic labyrinth to hold the Minotaur. And so he had to sacrifice, I think it's exactly 14 people to the Minotaur every year, and 1 year Theseus was involved in that, and he used a piece of string to get himself out. So we're not really seeing any of those elements in Dave Made a Maze, which is fine. But god damn, that's a weird story. Like, Dave Made a Maze is but the origins of the Minotaur, that's like, oh god, what's the, is it the aristocrats joke where it's just getting dirtier and weirder and just trying to be offensive for the sake of it? Man, those Greeks knew how to have fun.
And it's very much an insider joke thing that's done for comedians, stand-up comedians. And that actually goes to one of my next points, is that things I'd like to bring up that's happening here in a minute is that Harry and the boom operator show up, and I kind of pictured Harry before, if you recall, 10 episodes ago. I kind of pictured him as as the director, and he is doing that in this minute, and he's using this terminology I had to look up, cheat out. This insider terminology that certainly the movie makers, the people behind this movie, certainly would know, but, and what it is I'll say what I found when I Googled it is to cheat out is to turn your face or entire body either out to the audience or camera to be seen better without completely turning, so it still looks natural, but you are not completely in profile, or to face into conceal something like that.
Which, yeah, that's definitely what's happening with his documentary, is that he's orchestrating and directing to create a certain narrative that he wants to tell. It's not about what's actually going on. He's not about what do they use? A cinema dogma, where it's like as realistic as possible.
I think what Connor is referring to is what's known as Dogma 95.
Pause a moment for reflection. Dogma dictates the director must not be credited. Dogma also states that you cannot use any special effects or filters, so no superimposed title. Dogma forbids genre films, so no westerns, no science fiction, or in this case, no gangster films. Also, the films must take place here and now. Furthermore, you must not have any sounds that are recorded separately from the image. So banish your big orchestral soundtrack, your overdubbed gunshots, and your voiceover. The sounds must be real. And widescreen, that big cinematic experience, is also proscribed. Instead, Dogma filmmakers must use the squarer Academy ratio, like the early silent films and everyday television. On top of that, shooting must be done on 35mm film stock, a rule which we'll discover hasn't been that easy for the brethren to obey. Further stripping away the artifice, all those smooth tracking shots and steadying tripods, well, you can't have them either. Everything must be handheld. This further simplifies production, making it possible to film with fewer crew members and less equipment. Oh yes! Dogma demands there be no superficial action. So purge the story of weapons and murders. And all those pretentious, arty filmmakers can kiss their black and white goodbye. Dogma films are exclusively in color, and vital to the whole ethos of Back to Basics production. Special lighting is unacceptable. Natural lighting, or lights found on location, are all you've got to work with. And finally, absolutely no sets or props are permitted. So all filming is on location, and you use what you find there. Taken all together, these 10 rules can save directors from the vices and the tricks of the trade that they so often succumb to. They must redeem themselves by forcing the truth out of characters and settings at the cost of any good taste or aesthetic consideration.
I have got the notes on this one. Not on this page, okay. There we go.
And it takes a little while, but when they do show up in this I'm guessing like a main central room that they've come to do this thing with the chrysalis and so forth, have it open up and so forth. It does seem like Dave and Annie are a little bit surprised that this crew, so maybe this is the first meeting with them, I'm guessing. Maybe not, who knows? But, and I also noticed that there is one less person in their crew, that Gordon is running around, but there was the other, besides the mic boom operator, there was, I thought, another guy, wasn't there? Last minute? Yeah.
Yes, we've lost somebody. So yeah, that's the advantage of having watched it. I go, oh right, so that connects to this and that. Yeah,
you're gonna have to watch it more times. And like I said, Annie plugs it in, and one of the interesting things then, though, that one last little thing I'd like to bring up, with Gordon still cutting in, and he's being excited and trying to get the Minotaur to follow him. And one last thing he kind of uses to lure the Minotaur is he says, "I sure hope there's some pizza left in that apartment." And so I'm guessing one thing I'm guessing is the apartment is the rest of the space that that the maze is inside of, I think, right?
Yeah, so Dave builds the maze inside his apartment, and it's like a TARDIS. Yeah, right. It's way bigger on the inside.
And so just to get to it real quick is, I was just curious with, you, Connor, I don't know if you're too familiar with it, but, there is the, big hullabaloo, concerning pizza and pineapple. What's your take?
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you've officially weighed in on any podcast or not.
It might have actually been on the Watchmen minute we talked about, or it might have been. I will just state for public record that sweet things and savory things should never come together in such a way. I think that's unnatural. But in Australia, so we often put beetroot on hamburgers. That's very much an Australian thing. Pineapples are also another thing we seem to add. I'm not a fan personally.
Okay, well, if it hadn't been official before, it is now, and I throw in with that too. And it's a big shout out to Mogwai Minute, especially with George O'Neill. I think it all kind of started out there, and it's grown and grown and grown.
Oh, that's where I talked about it. Yes, it was.
Cool.
But I actually quite like, doing keto, can't have potato pizza, but I've been making rutabaga or turnip pizza, so maybe I'm the weird one here. It's good. Don't mock it till you try it.
I'm pretty sure I've tried pineapple on pizza, so I tried other things too, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't too crazy about it. So I've tried away for quite a while.
Okay. I don't think it's as horrendous as some people. Some people have a real visceral reaction.
It's that classic Die Hard as a Christmas movie or not, It's just something for people to get really excited about. Yes. But I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, it is one of those debates that people... Oh, and the other one is... there's a few actually coming to mind at the same time. It keeps happening to me where I go... learning to drive manual or automatic. Nowadays people will just get into really heated debates, and ultimately it's a personal decision. Whatever you need to do with your car, it's up to you, man. Also the toilet roll, does the paper go over the top or underneath? People will die on that hill. By the way, if you look at the original patent for toilet paper, you are in fact supposed to put the paper over the top. So that's where I stand on this. My final note for this minute was just that I really love this movie. When I first watched it, the plot didn't blow me away. I'm someone who tends to focus a lot on scripts. And I read a lot of books as well, so I'm very focused on that. But that's not what movies necessarily have to be. I think movies can very much just be this experience, this dreamlike sensory experience, and that's what movies do very well. And I think Dave Made a Minute definitely does that. It reminds me of I think you pronounce it George Méliès, the French illusionist and filmmaker. He did the Trip to the Moon and all of those early films. Yeah, it really reminds me of that, where it's so creative and the visuals are so surprising. And I think what's even more impressive is that Dave Made a Maze achieved so much with so little. And after listening to behind the scenes stuff, I realized they were even working in a tighter budget and time frame and everything. It's seriously incredible, and it really grows on you. It's very much, as I said, an experience that, like any good cult movie, you walk away and go, "Oh, yeah, that was okay," and you keep thinking about it and thinking about it, and especially revisiting this minute, I just thought, wow. The bullhead and the chrysalis, this is some seriously clever stuff. You don't see this very often.
Remember something different and ponder memories that faded into nothing until you found me here. The pictures inside my head look perfect, but they sure can't help me because they can scratch the surface.
Very cool. Anything else?
I believe that's everything, but left to my own devices, I'm talking forever.
Okay, and you want to do a plug for your wonderful podcast and anything else? Your website stuff?
Thank you. So I have been and continue to be Connor Coulson of Prometheus by Minute. You can find me on traviandesigns.com, TRAVIAN, or Prometheus by Minute on Facebook. I'm also Connor Coulson Prime on Instagram if you want to see my my fashion, my outfits, and my cooking. I believe that's everything I'm up to right now.
And that is a wonderful podcast that I do listen to, Prometheus Minute by Minute. And my podcast with my co-host Travis Bowe is Watchmen Minute. And we're doing the same thing as this and Prometheus have done. Going over that movie, the 2009 Zack Snyder film, superhero-ish. 1 minute at a time. And upcoming for me later this year, 2019, will be Almost Famous Minute. And you can just pretty easily Google those things, especially if you use old quotes, around them. Get you right to everything you need, whether it's iTunes or Stitcher or their main websites and so forth.
And, I think my minutes should be coming up for Watchmen soon. I'm a bit behind on that show. And, Watchmen Minute, I should say. You really are doing it justice, I think. It's a movie that I've come back to a lot and gone, how do I feel about it? Oh, this is good, this is bad. And I think you guys have a pretty balanced view. You don't pretend it's perfect, but you don't, dogpile on it as was the trend at the time when it came out. Same thing with Prometheus. People just dogpiled on it.
Yeah. And I like to think
we are here to defend controversial films.
Yeah, and I like to think how we've been able to get some really good differing views on it too. We're not going to shut anyone out that certainly doesn't like it. For instance, there was the Marvel editor Jordan White. We had him on for a couple minutes there or so. Quite a few months back since we've been on hiatus, but at the time of this releasing, we have just arrived back on the scene after our few-month-long hiatus with our most recent episodes.
Oh yeah!
So hope everyone gets to listen to all of these wonderful Movies by Minutes, and of course there's moviesbyminutes.com and the originators Pete and Alex that we'd like to thank too, and of course Robert Black, great guy arranging this and being involved with or getting involved with
our cult leader.
Yeah, getting involved with the creators of this movie. They've made a maze. Okay, so possibly until next time, but maybe not on this podcast. We might see you, maybe not. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of the movie, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
And then I could probably disarm all the traps, and then we can finish this maze. Who is with me?
That was Eric Nash of Watchmen Minute and Connor Coulson of Prometheus Minute taking on Minute 68 of Dave Made a Maze. They may have escaped the maze. Next time on Dave Made a Minute, we've got Andy Nelson and Pete Wright of the Next Reel podcast taking on Minute 69.
Thank you for listening to Dave Made a Minute. Intro dialogue snippets were taken from Dave Made a Maze, directed by Bill Watterson, written by Bill Watterson and Steve Sears, and produced by John Charles Meyer. Intro music is Diversion by The Equals, featured in the film Dave Made a Maze, and Life Cycle of a Match by Parvis Decree. Outro music is Leaving This God-Forsaken Place and Her Presence is Strong Here by Parvis Decree. Dave Made a Minute is a production of Lemming Drop Studio and all other featured podcast producers. You can find more content at lemmingdrops.com. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Dave Made a Minute. If you like what you hear, throw us a rating and review on your podcatcher of choice, and check out all of the participants' other shows to spread the love around. Again, thank you for listening.
As long as we're all working together, this is going to be fine. It's going to be great.
I need you to notify the families of everyone who died here today.
Totally. Wait, what?
This undercurrent of what it's like to be frustrated in life and try to make something. Words of wisdom to somebody stepping into your shoes 5 years ago?
Get a fucking real job, you bum.